Yeah, we got ourselves a trade. What's up, everybody? It's Wednesday night, just after 10 p.m. Eastern. The No Dunks boys in the yard because Trey Young has been traded to the Washington Wizards. I'm J.E. Skeets. That's Tess Mellis. That's Trey Kirby. Let's get a little Southern lawyer here on this one, especially because you predicted this trade, TK.
Call me Ken Nugent. We got ourselves a trade.
Wow. What an Atlanta reference.
That's a real Southern lawyer.
That is indeed. Yes, we have that trade, and it's what we expected, Tess, except for one important part. No picks. Trey Young to the Wizards for CJ McCollum and Corey Kispert. And what we know right now, again, this is breaking news, happened like 30 minutes ago. It doesn't seem like there's a pick involved going either way, either to the Washington Wizards or to Atlanta. And we're not even taking second-round picks here, Tess.
Oof. We're pickless tonight. This is surprising because this is a 27-year-old four-time All-Star. He's still in his prime, so it's surprising that a pick doesn't come back. But at the same time, like we talked about on the show, Mark Stein, who's dialed in, he was the first national guy to report that the Wizards were far and ahead the team that Trey Young wanted to go to. He didn't know if a pick needed to be attached to Trey or a pick was coming back for Trey, so we shouldn't be that surprised that there's no picks, but still, this is a skimpy package. And no disrespect to CJ McCollum, but he's 34. He's towards the end of his career. Corey Kispert, I love his headband, but still, I mean, look where we are here for the Atlanta Hawks and Trey Young at 27 years old. We all knew it was coming, and Trey called it last week. And then when you see CJ McCollum and Corey Kispert yanked from the lineup tonight, hey guys, we can't have you play tonight. Now, if you were to get hurt, I think the Hawks would still do it, but yeah, just don't play. Yeah. Because this just seems like it's about money, right? I mean, it seems like there's another deal coming. So it feels maybe a little less skimpy if you know a trade is coming real quick, as Shams is reporting, that this makes it a flexible situation for the Hawks, that this Dallas Mavericks star Anthony Davis has a prime in-season trade target for the next several months. What does that mean? They're getting him in the offseason, or is this turning into Porzingis and either Risache or a Kongwu? That could work. Literally those two, that pair of guys for Anthony Davis. I don't know how far we want to go right now with that, but here we are. It is a little surprising at the same time.
Trey, what do you think?
I can't believe I've heard the word skimpy and paltry today. And I've heard both of those old-timey words used to describe this package. This is nothing. Trey Young is a four-time All-Star, the best player the Hawks have had in a decade, and he's getting traded for an expiring contract, and a guy who's better known for having a center part, a mustache, and a tie on the sidelines. Corey Kispert never plays, man. Nobody's ever seen this guy. CJ McCollum, he's not a multi-time All-Star. He's a multi-time almost All-Star. And Trey Young is the best player the Hawks have had in quite some time. He's won them playoff series. He took them to the conference finals. He might have his jersey retired sometime. So to get back a guy in CJ McCollum that might be gone next season, Corey Kispert, who's kind of superfluous with Luke Kennard around, come on, this is disappointing. There was talk during the day that there was negotiations back and forth on who was going to be adding draft capital. Is it the Wizards because, you know, they are getting Trey Young, a multi-time All-Star, or is it the Hawks because they have to pay get off his contract? Eventually, they must have just gotten tired of negotiating about it and said, let's just go player for player here. Yeah. We're going Chicago Bulls mode. Make it simple. And honestly, this is a worse package than like Zach LaVine got last year when the Bulls were in a very same situation. So I think this just goes to show how sour the relationship was, how much Trey wanted to be out in Atlanta, how the Wizards were likely his only suitor out there. Just the way we broke things down on the podcast earlier today, none of the other packages made a lot of sense for both teams. This one kind of did, and it happened quickly.
Yeah. We said this morning on No Dunks, and if you're joining us for the first time here on YouTube, hit the like button, subscribe, podcast listeners. I don't know when you're listening to this, probably before our live show tomorrow morning at 10, but we said this morning, hey, look, the Hawks are not going to be getting any real value here.
No.
It's like this is a salary cap dump before Trey potentially picks up his $49 million player.
Somebody sent us $9.99 here on YouTube. That's more than the Hawks got for Trey Young. That's how it feels. I know it's good, and we talked about literally this could be the package combined with the OKC pick that the Wizards had the rights to. That would be the best part coming back. As good as CJ McCollum is, he can drop 30, he can drop 40. Still, it just feels like the Trey Young relationship was done, but they also just wanted him to get the heck out of there, and he wanted to be the heck out of there as well. Because this
time's up.
A tough time. I mean, I guess you could sense it when he took the floor to every shoot around the last couple of games. Things weren't going to last very long, but to see this as a return, if you're a Hawks fan, you got to be thinking, you got to be hopeful that yes, maybe we're better without Trey Young, but maybe we have another move coming down the works here. Yeah, and it's a big maybe. I brought up the Anthony Davis possibility. The scary part is Anthony Davis wants an extension this summer, real bad. And he didn't, according to reports, he didn't see it happening with the Dallas Mavericks. He wanted to see it with another team, and it could be with the Atlanta Hawks if they are willing, and the Mavs are willing to take. As I look at it, Porzingis plus one of Risa Shea or Okongwu. I don't know which one you guys think is the right package for Anthony Davis, but it seems like there'd be a handshake agreement that okay, we extend you. If you're from the Hawks side, we were just coming off a season where they didn't extend Trey Young. Would they be willing to extend Anthony Davis? That's a huge question, but it really feels like a meh move if they're not going to do anything beyond this Trey Young trade.
I just can't believe that a second round pick wasn't even involved. Forget the first round pick. The Wizards have, I think, like multiple second round picks. Like, I believe they have 4 in the 26th draft. Like, it's like a little shocking that 1, 2, whatever is not thrown in there. Yeah, let alone the worst of that one pick, which would likely be the Thunder pick. So that would be the end of the first round. It's amazing and good on the Wizards, like for digging in their heels, looking around, going, what else are you getting for him? You're not getting anything. You're getting off of him. CJ McCollum actually is still solid at his age. I don't think he's part of your long-term plans, but he's better than what Trey Young's giving you right now. So they just said, we're not giving you any picks. Do you want to do it or not? And maybe you're right, Tass. Maybe the timing of this happening a month basically before the deadline makes it more likely that the Hawks have something else down the line, TK, be it Anthony Davis or be it another move here to try and upgrade the roster.
Like we talked about this morning, this trade was one way to do it and keep your flexibility. A 3-way trade with the Mavericks involved would be a way to get Anthony Davis. I would prefer the flexibility. It doesn't make sense to me to put Anthony Davis with a very, very young team that the Hawks have now, yet with Jalen Johnson being their leader. Like Porzingis is around, but he's not really a long-term piece. I think Okongwu is kind of entrenched more as the big long-term alongside Dyson Daniels, Jalen, and then we'll see what they do. But there's definitely an opportunity now to make a move. They have some assets that they can put into trades if they want it. They got some like Lego piece contracts that can add up to a bigger number if they wanted to. It's not a move I would personally make, but it's definitely a possibility that it could happen here. But man, when we thought the Thunder pick was going to be involved with this, that seemed like hardly anything.
Yeah.
So I think great stuff from the Wizards. They basically went from Beal to Chris Paul to Jordan Poole to CJ McCollum to Trey Young. Never gave up a single pick. Unbelievable.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, that's a great way to put it. And now we'll see if Trey or how much Trey plays this season. Tass, like,
I think he's going to play
Brandon Ingram situations on our hands here when he went to the Raptors and probably could have played. They don't really need him to play, don't want him to play, especially because the Wizards have this top 8 protected pick. You know, if they suddenly rip off a lot of wins, they could lose that to the Knicks. I don't know. I'm saying like there's a lot of season left. I think we see Trey Young. And do you think it's likely that he comes to a deal with Washington as well?
Well, as far as the Wizards go, I mean, they're winning games pre-Trey. I mean, they literally won 5 of their last 7 games before tonight, before saying, CJ, hey, we're trading you. Come have a seat. Corey Kispert, you see all those headlines? You're a rotation player that may be traded. You got to sit too. I do think Trey is, he's biting. He's chomping at the bit. He wants to play. And I think they're going to play him. I think he has to now. Will he be extended? I think at this point they will see what happens these next few months. But I mean, on the floor, they need a guy who can run the team. He's shown that he is willing to pass the ball. Like for a very long time, him and Jalen Johnson did click when they were playing together, especially last year, because this year he's hardly played. But they were basically a 1-2 combo. And, they were top 4 in passes per game for a while before Jalen Johnson got hurt. Literally 2 of the top 4 players. Now, it did just run through those 2 guys a little too much. But I don't think it's going to take away too much from the supporting guys in Trey Johnson and Keyshawn George, as we talked about on today's show. And he'll make it a great fit for All-Star. So I do think he's going to play. And I think they'll wait several months. They'll wait till the offseason before they talk extension. But even if this is a 1.5-year little rental because he has a player option for next season,
you're still doing
good.
it.
It's good for the guys. Oh yeah, got to. They literally did not give up much at all in this trade.
Yeah, definitely worth the risk for the Wizards to see what they can do with Trey Young and the timing of the trade. We're not even at the 41 game mark, right? It lends yourself to think that, Trey will play at least a little bit, show Washington what he can do, maybe win people back from like a public relations standpoint a little bit, put some butts in the seats, all the things that the Wizards are hoping they're getting with a box office name like Trey Young. I think he'll play a little bit, but they're kind of right on the edge. This little streak here, 5 wins in 7 games, is making their pick a little bit more in danger. They got a top 8 protected pick going out. Right now they're 5th in lottery odds, and things are pretty tight in like the 5 to 10 range. So a few too many wins could put them in danger, but maybe that just leads to them hitting the lottery. You're pleasing the lottery gods by making a win now move, by making an accelerant move. So perhaps the gods will bless you then with a top pick.
One of my favorite parts of earlier today was Shams reporting that Trey Young and his representatives wanted to go to Washington. They wanted to go to the nation's capital. That was a preferred destination. And when that started leaking, or we had that report, it was like, it's just a matter of time until Trey Young is now going to Washington. They're just figuring out, are there any picks involved or not? Because come on. No, it's not. No, it's not. I mean, no offense to Wizards fans, but he was not thinking or saying that months prior. This was a look around. Does anybody want to dance with me? And it's like the only person at the dance here that will actually get on the dance floor with me. I guess that's my preferred destination. That's your only destination. So
hey, it's better to be dancing than sitting on the wall.
I know. Right? You're fair. Yes, it is.
Let's grind, baby.
It was pretty funny when that report came out. I thought it's like, okay, we're just waiting. We're texting with each other. Like, is this coming down tonight? Is this going to be like before the show tomorrow morning? Is it going to happen during the show, right after? I mean, it was going to happen in 24 hours. It felt like.
Yeah. And we got the word from our friend Michael Scotto, who was supposed to be on tomorrow's show, senior NBA insider for Hoops Hype, said, I don't know if I'm going to be able to be on your show because this trade looks like it's happening.
Right.
And I don't know if he's going to be coming on now that the trade has happened, but it seems super legitimate. And when guys are sitting for the Washington Wizards and the whole Trey Young scenario, again, I talk about him in shoot arounds. Like he's out there, he's shooting around, and then he doesn't play in 2 straight games, the Toronto game and now this game tonight. This is it's just odd because he's got so many accolades for a guy to go literally for somebody who hasn't made an All-Star game.
He's in his prime.
Rotational player. Yeah, exactly. But
he's in his prime.
But that's the interesting thing. I'm starting to buy into some of this AD talk from Shams because if the national media knows what they're talking about, because Mark Stein sure did when he said he's going to the Washington Wizards, and I don't know if a pick is going with him or without him or for him, essentially, and there was no picks involved, so that worked out pretty well. I mean, there was no juicy pick there, and now Sham's basically saying they've got this freedom here, they've got the flexibility, and they're going to be working on an Anthony Davis trade for months, like specifically Anthony Davis as a target. I'm starting to buy in, because if you want to trade for Anthony Davis, I imagine you want the youngest legs out of him as possible. So you do it now as opposed to the offseason. I mean, that's what it feels like to me if they're trading for him. But the scary part is the extension part. I get that. I get that. But, maybe that second year that he has a player option for, he's signed through this year, the following next year, and then the following year is a player option. Maybe that becomes part of the extension if we're already talking extensions. I mean, that sounds crazy to be trading for a guy right here, right now, and extending him. But, you look at it this way. What if it's for Porzingis primarily, who's already an expiring contract and literally doesn't play every game either? So you can start to spin it that way for Hawks fans. Minus the extension part. If you're just talking Porzingis for AD primarily, it does have to be another part. And again, I'm going through.
It might be
every
a former number
trade
one pick.
machine.
It probably has to be Risache, if we're being honest, from the Mavs side of things.
Yeah, it's either Risache or Okongwu financially. And yeah, from the Mavs side, you probably want the young player, the second-year player. But I think Hawks fans would be happier to see Onyeka Okongwu go rather than the upside of Zachary Risache.
They need to do something here still because, newsflash, CJ McCollum and Corey Kispert's not going to help the defense all that much. Somebody's got to be acquired. And we said, is it AD? Is it a big move like that? Or is it waiting for free agency and try your hand at a Mitchell Robinson or an Isaiah Hartenstein or some other potential big to actually stop people inside, which they really struggle with. They haven't had a good defense in a decade. They got to do something. It's a hell of a gamble with AD. And PK, you've sort of made your thoughts on that pretty clear. You think it's a little too risky.
He's going to be 33 this year.
Yeah.
Kristaps Porzingis, current oldest Hawk. He's 30 years old. It doesn't make any sense from a timeline standpoint. The idea of Jalen Johnson and Anthony Davis is pretty fun to think about. That's two huge guys with a lot of skills that can do everything on the basketball court. They would instantly be a better defense with Anthony Davis. All that stuff makes sense to me, but I think they should slow roll it. I think they would be better off saving the flexibility and chasing guys like Hartenstein and Kobe White, just additional pieces that help build up the team. Depth is more important now in the NBA. Youth is more important now in the NBA. That's the way teams are actually winning. So I think playing it slow and building on the same timeline as your best players, as your future stars, makes more sense. But sometimes you want to get out of the play-in tournament. Sometimes you want to be a top 6 seed and try your luck in the playoffs. This is a year to maybe take that kind of chance. There's no dominant team in the Eastern Conference. The Pistons are probably the closest we have so far. The Celtics have looked great. I think they lost tonight. The Knicks.
They lost to the Nuggets.
Exactly. The Knicks got a win tonight, but they've been struggling for a little bit here. It does feel like there's an opening in the Eastern Conference. I don't know if I think that Jalen Johnson plus Anthony Davis is good enough to put the Hawks over the top, but it at least gives them a shot in the postseason, I would have to think, more so than what they were doing prior to tonight.
Yeah. I just would find it very difficult to go from what the Hawks did this past offseason and said, Trey, no, we're not extending you, to turning the Trey Young unfortunate end into an Anthony Davis extension. It just seems backwards. It seems like two opposites. Now, again, I can talk myself into just bringing in Anthony Davis for this next guaranteed year, plus that player option for Porzingis primarily. You can start to talk yourself into that. But all the reports may just be wrong, may just be coming from Anthony Davis's camp that he wants an extension. And maybe the Hawks just wouldn't be willing to give it to him. but to turn Porzingis into him, whether it's Reese Shea or Kongwu, I know we got Hawks fans here in the stream team saying Okongwu's our only healthy center. I want to keep him around. I get that. But there's so much upside in Reese Shea. Anyway, we're going too far down the road here, but it feels like it's just so bitter for the Hawks to end this. It's a bitter taste for the Hawks to end it this way with Trey Young and not have a next step. But maybe it's just that had to be cut right here and right now before another 50 games with Trey and not wanting to be there, really.
Yeah, I mean, you say not want to be there. It's not. I don't feel like Trey was making a stink of like, get me the hell out of here. I think it was handled professionally from him and his camp and the Hawks, and like they just came to the conclusion, the right one, like the way we're going now, the way Jalen Johnson has blossomed into a star player, the hope we had for a better team with other pieces around you and how that would click, and it's not translating to an elite team or a good team in the Eastern Conference. We're the same old goddamn Hawks. And whether you play or whether you really don't. And we don't want to do that for another long-term contract. So, all right, let's get you out of here and let's obviously focus on these other guys. And it's the right move. It is. It's probably too late. It is too late. They would have 100%. They would have got more draft capital. They would have got another pick or two. Now, they're lucky, so to speak, because the Pelicans were insane and traded them what could be like a top 3 pick for the 26th draft. So like they have that. So it's got to like feel okay that you're going to add that pretty special player probably if you hit on the draft. But yeah, it is weird, man. You're right, Tass. Like this is nothing. This is nothing for a franchise guy. Like I was thinking about this. He's going to the Wizards. First off, like the Wizards have sucked forever too, right? I mean, you thought he was never talked about here in Atlanta.
The Wizards wished they were the Hawks.
But right.
Yeah, and he picked them. That's another odd part.
I don't know. I've seen Wizards fans celebrating. They're saying first Alex Sarr picked us, then Ace Bailey tried to pick us, and now Trey Young is picking us.
Okay,
that never happened.
I do not think Trey Young was actually really picking Washington, but yeah, he's going to get paid. Probably he's going to get paid, and he's going to put up his 25 and 10, and hopefully they'll probably be a 38-39 win team moving forward. That's what he did a lot of here in Atlanta. The point was, Washington has been so bad for so long that if you took Trey Young's like complete win shares, his career win shares, and you just plopped it into the all-time greats of the Wizards, the best win shares, he would be like 6th all-time. Think about that. He played 7 years for the Hawks and has like 44 win shares. 4-time All-Star like you talked about. Maybe could have made another 1 or 2 if they were better. That's like John Wall. That's John Wall's like Wizards career. It's insane, man. So like they're getting a great player. They're buying extremely low. Like we're going to cheer for Trey Young. We're obviously here in Atlanta. He was always great to us with the show. And like the guy's going to put up a lot of assists and he can still score. He's just having a brutal year too is the other part. Like this is the worst year of his career when he did play.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. And like you mentioned before, the Hawks could have gotten more if they traded Trey at last deadline, though there were rumors at the time that he was on the trade block and the offers weren't all that exciting. So they went into the summer. Let's see if there's anything we can do. Not really. But the Pelicans trade was a lifesaver. Imagine if the Hawks didn't have that. They owe the Spurs their pick this summer.
Yeah,
it's a swap. So that getting the Pelicans pick and the Pelicans being as bad as they are allowed the Hawks to make a move like this.
Yeah.
Because you're not trading Trey Young for a bag of beans if you are losing the number 1 pick in the draft. Yeah. But since they have the backstop, they can do it. But you mentioned the win shares. Got a good question here from Scott Novak here in the stream team. Is Trey Young a top 5 Atlanta Hawk of all time? That disqualifies Bob Pettit. He was a St. Louis Hawk. Lou Hudson before our time.
Right.
But let's think about guys in today's stratosphere or like guys that we've watched. Dominique, number 1, obviously.
Right.
He's got a statue.
Dikembe. Yeah. Trey Young is automatically included in the top 5. Yeah.
Because you're putting him like ahead or right on par with Al Horford, Paul Millsap, Joe Johnson, Mookie Blaylock. Yeah, like he's better than Mookie Blaylock. Yeah.
Steve Smith. Steve Smith, 1-time All-Star, I do believe.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then we're going into the Jeff Teague, Kyle Korver realm. So,
But Trey is better than those guys.
oh yeah,
Agree.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
his peak, of course, and
Yeah.
hopefully he's got more still left in the bag. But yeah, I mean, I guess if you're saying like our generation, TK or Scott here, like yeah, yes, he is. Like
Yes, he is.
he is.
yes,
Uh,
yes. And it's odd to be thinking that at 27 years of age, she's going from a team that could easily retire his number to being dealt for a couple guys that aren't going to play for them, frankly, or play much of a role at all for them. It's just odd. It feels odd.
So if you're just joining us, let's hear your thoughts in the stream team here on YouTube. Your thoughts on the Wizards Hawks trade, Trey Young for CJ McCollum and Corey Kispert. And no, there were no picks. It's not that we just didn't want to put them on the graphic there. There were no picks. No second round picks. No late first round picks. Nothing. Just two guys for one guy. And I want to get your opinions on this jersey swap here that I always like to pretend Shams has to do himself. Maybe he's a Photoshop boy.
I'm not breaking this until I finish my graphic.
Yeah. He's actually had this news for like 2 hours, but he was really struggling with Photoshop. Canva wasn't working. What do you think here, TK? I love your opinions on these things. How does Trey look in the golden black? That might be a city edition for all I know. And then you got the CJ McCollum and the Hawks there.
That's just a wild choice to choose for Trey Young. The gold version? Are you kidding me? He looks good though. I don't know if he'll wear one. I don't know Wizards retired numbers off the top of my head or current roster. Is there an 11 on their current roster?
Yeah, I don't know.
But he's got a cool number. Like if he's able to stick with 11, I like the look of that.
Okay.
And he's going to be wearing red, white, and blue. Washington is due for an upgrade on their uniforms, I would say. Feeling a little past their prime to me. And then CJ McCollum. I don't think this is the best fitting jersey in the Photoshop, but the Hawks have classic jerseys, and I do love their blacks.
I think Cam Whitmore wears number 1 on the Wizards, and I don't think there's an 11, so he should be wearing 11 unless it's retired, and I'm forgetting like, Wes Unseld or somebody wore it.
Yeah, I think Wes was 41. Let me do some
41.
research here.
Okay. So there it is. Trey Young going to the Washington Wizards, and the Hawks getting CJ McCollum and Corey Kispert. And as Tess has talked about here tonight, are they done? Does Atlanta have something else up their sleeve? Hence the timing of this all. Maybe getting CJ and Corey in there, see what you got, and are you making a move for someone else, maybe like AD?
Yeah, and to be clear, they can't trade CJ McCollum before the trade deadline and aggregate it like that. Like, what was it? It was last year's Dennis Schroeder was traded in early December, so he could be traded before the trade deadline because you need a full 2 months. But Porzingis would be the prime guy if they were going to make a deal. Speaking of prime guys, I know people are excited to talk about Joe Johnson and Josh Smith as Atlanta Hawks. They're boys as Atlanta Hawks, and claiming that they're better than Trey Young. Listen, all due respect to those guys, they're special guys, but there's special moments for Trey Young winning in Madison Square Garden that Joe Johnson and Josh Smith don't have. Like that was a special run. It was one run. It literally was one run.
Been living on the back of that run for a while now, man. Sort of getting tired of talking about that run.
Well, Joe. Imagine being Ben Simmons.
Yeah, jeez.
He's the whole reason that run exists.
Yeah, good point.
Well, I don't know. I don't know where Joe Johnson was on the win shares, but is there any moment from Joe Johnson's career that you remember from the Atlanta Hawks and watch him go to All-Star game after All-Star game after All-Star game?
Yeah, it's Joe Johnson had a lot of game winners, but from what I remember, there were a lot of regular season game winners. Yeah. Not a lot of postseason success. Yeah.
Either way, I think Trey's going to look cool in the Wizards look. They got the city edition courts, and I think it looks nice for the district, man. I think he's going to. You don't think he looked at Washington on the map and said, "Yeah, I want to go there." Like I want to be part
Trey
of the
Young does
Washington.
not seem like a guy that's going to do well in the cold to me. I don't know why. He's just tiny and frail, like me.
From Oklahoma.
Yeah, I mean, does it get cold in Oklahoma? I guess not really cold.
It's Midwestern. I imagine they get some snow.
Okay, maybe he's fine. All right, I take it back.
Colder in DC, but He's always talking about how much he loves cherry blossoms, so it's not a surprise he would want to be there.
Right. And we get I guess we get a Trey backcourt, right? I mean, we're going to see some Trey Young and Trey Johnson.
Absolutely.
Trey, what do you think of that?
That's what everybody called me growing up. Trey.
Oh, wow.
That's my childhood nickname before they switched it to Skippy. Hated that one.
Oh,
Trey was good. Of course, I'm going to have to root for this backcourt. I kind of liked, I was a minor Wizards fan. I liked some of their players. I liked the idea of some of their guys, and it just always seemed like they needed a guy to unify them, to build around. And now they have Trey Young, a player that I've liked rooting for here in Atlanta. Like you said, he's been good to the show. He's an enjoyable watch. He does some fun stuff. So I'm going to be interested to see what they do and what kind of effect he can have playing with all these young dudes who are still trying to figure out what they're best at in the NBA. All
right. Well, we will talk more about this, I'm sure, tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Eastern, live here on YouTube, and then we flip it into a podcast. Will Michael Scotto show up? We do not know.
Scotto watch.
We are on Scotto watch. It's not a big deal if he doesn't, because there's a million games on tonight. We could draft some of tonight's best games. How about that quickly game winner? But so yeah, we got lots to talk about. Hopefully you'll join us. And we'll probably get into this a little bit more. Great timing. Good start to trade season. Yeah, go ahead, TK.
No, you're totally right. Perfect timing. It was like East Coast games ended, trade called in, so we can go live at a perfect time when, East Coast still awake, West Coast just in the prime of things. Yeah. It's ideal. We got to give a shout out to our super chatters. PJC came in through and sponsored the emergency pod.
Oh, wow.
First time ever.
That is a first.
Hop on in. The water's fine. And Simon says, happy trade season, TRAED. That one's going to be getting a lot of use in the next 24 hours.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you very much.
It was fun to follow John Hollinger at The Athletic, who was at the Fortress tonight here in Atlanta as the Hawks took on the Pelicans. I was watching his tweets or skeets. Is that what they're called on Blue Sky? Are they literally named after me?
I don't know.
It was fun watching him, obviously talk about the game, but there was a lot of Trey Young's doing this. Trey Young is now shaking hands with so-and-so. Trey Young has made his way back to the tunnel. And that's when I saw that one. I was like, oh, he's leaving with 8 minutes to go. And sure enough, there was one of you immediately in the Slack channel, boom, it's done. It's official. So they must have pulled him back or told him to come back. So yeah. Exciting stuff. Oh my God. All right. We'll talk about it more tomorrow. We'll talk about tonight's games. Thanks for joining us. Hit the like button, subscribe, 5-star ratings and reviews if you're a podcast listener on Apple and Spotify. Until then, Clipper Bros.
You heard it here first. Have a great time. Turn up. Love you guys. Awesome.
Thanks for joining us. And remember, I'm just reading this right now. I have to share. They followed Trey for 20 seconds in the tunnel. Who, the camera people? Or...
Oh, I don't know.
The broadcast?
I guess. Yeah.
What do you mean followed? What are you talking about?
Yeah, I just mean the shot, the camera, I imagine.
Well, I don't know. Hollinger was there. He was seeing Trey leave. He was on the scene.
Yes.
He knew something was up.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, apparently it was the cameras recording.
Okay, camera. All right.
They just knew. The cameras knew. Hey, have a camera on Trey Young tonight. He may be dealt. Follow him. So Trey's ready, man.
All right.
Trey's
Let's go to bed.
I'll
see you in the morning. Okay. Good night.